Stati Uniti ci andiamo adesso, sono stati citati più volte perché lanciamo il nostro momento di Going Global. Come sapete, andiamo a vedere un mercato straniero, Going Global. Allora, questo è il momento in cui ospitiamo un partner da un paese appunto estero, lo vedo già collegato, un partner di Medelhan, quindi sono felice di dare il benvenuto, ti vediamo benissimo, ad Alessia Genova di Tihany. Hi Alessia, how are you?
Hi everyone. Good. I'm gonna speak English because we are going global. I'm not American, I'm Italian, so I'm gonna kind of start like that because I heard few things about American but very nice to be here with you all.
Thank you, Alessia. Yeah, it's going to be a little bit weird. We're both Italian speaking English with this American accent, but anyway, we give ourselves a ton of internationality here. So we're very glad to have you. And as I did with our other partners, I'm going to introduce you very briefly, but your bio is interesting for us. Alessia is distinguished for her exceptional talent and leadership of New York City boutique atelier Tihany Design. She's a visionary professional who has earned the trust and respect of an ever-evolving industry, which is high-end, as we've just said. As managing partner in Tihany Studio, she's embraced the role to elevate the luxury, hospitality, and lifestyle experience with sensational custom interiors, helming projects of prestige hotels, resorts, restaurants, private clubs, also yachts, so all the asset class we've been talking so far this evening here. Alessia considers hospitality design a domain without borders. I really like the way she describes it, and I'm going to read it out for you. She says, and we've been talking about food and beverage, so it makes sense. Design is like cooking for her. Being Italian, we understand you very well. You can follow a recipe, but it's the extra ingredients, the passion, the dedication, and a little madness that brings the dream to life. That's wonderful, Alessia. So, with your inspiring words, we'd like to see if the things we've been sharing about the US, in particular the San Francisco area, has been taken, but it makes sense anyway. California makes sense when we talk about ESG and the evolution of luxury and sustainability. There's a big debate over there in the US in general. First of all, I'd like to have your idea on how is the new trends shaping the hospitality sector in the US in general, because you work all over the US obviously, and how does it compare to elsewhere in the world from your perspective? Where are you going there?
Yeah, sure. I mean, first of all, I think with the question you just asked me, there is something that probably gonna mention that surely tied to what has been already said by the other colleague over there. I mean, US is quite wide. I mean, it's taking US, it's like talking about like Europe. So, what are the trends? I don't think, I mean, surely there are like different trends in different parts of the world, but I think, a trend that we can see, not just in the US, but in general, is something that has been mentioned by Ludovica as well, is surely the rise of experiential moments. I see these being more and more something that people obviously put a strong attention to it, So, and when you talk about experiential moments, I think if you want to call it trends, is a trend that is not just in one market, but is like in every market. It's just the response is different, because as you were just talking, whatever you are in the US, in Italy, or like in China or Middle East, I mean, you surely have different culture, and you're gonna look who is like your clientele to address that trends or requests in a different way. So I think that is like, I would say that it's not about different trend, it's about how you respond to different trend in different markets. I mean, of the same trend in different markets. So, and when you talk about experiential moment, is really about the idea. I mean, it's about the idea because, today we have like very, very sophisticated technology. So everyone has tools to come up with things, but the idea is what, make a difference at the end of the day. And so how, which is the idea of this experience? I mean, we have been talking about F&B, you've been mentioning about, food. And if we talk about food, we already, as you said, we already went in a full circle. You mentioned about Italian food, but it's not anymore about Italian food. It's like, as Ludovica mentioned, I mean, you're talking now about friarielli di fragola. I mean, you are going to talk about, not anymore, Italian food is not an experience anymore. It's like something that gets
specific
into very specific, that is the new experience. So, we just opened like Bouchon in Miami. It's a restaurant by Thomas Keller, and it opened last Saturday. There was like a long line outside the restaurant. I mean, people were queuing to get a roasted chicken. A roasted chicken that is a very expensive roasted chicken, but is probably the most delicious roasted chicken you can have. So, it's about like tradition, it's about like the excellence. And I think is this what makes the difference in the experience. There is a bit also, I think, in the trends, this, I would say, return to nostalgia. You talk about return to simple things. I think there is a bit of this return to nostalgia. Again, this is like, the case of like Bouchon. It's a very like bistro looking with a very simple food, but is about the experience that you create, the expectation, and then go in something very, very simple. But all around it is like, what makes this experience different. So it's really just about, and again, this is like, the US, but I think you treat it differently. Obviously, Italy and Europe, as you said, you already have what you don't have in the US, like there we created like, the Bouchon is really like, you feel like you're in a French bistro. It has already a feeling of a patina, but you don't need to create that in France. You would have it, you know what I mean? So it is like how you need to design it differently to create this experience. And if it was in Saudi Arabia, well, maybe it should have been a roasted chicken with like, truffle oil and caviar on top. But so I think is this what I would say, like
interesting.
I see in the trends.
I understand, and it's definitely, when it comes to experience, it definitely comes to customizing and trying to figure out what the future client will want, and that has something to do with creativity, because like you said, you can have all the tools you want, but in the end it's what you have in your mind in order to be the first to do something. And so that leads me to the second question, which is something that maybe allows you to talk about yourself a little bit more. Where do you get that inspiration from for the works you do?
How much time do we have? I mean, inspiration.
I
can tell you what doesn't inspire me. Maybe like, it kind of like exclude like. So
why not?
We've been talking. I mean, like we've been talking is a topic that everyone is talking about, and is the artificial intelligence. Someone told me like once, because so far it doesn't inspire me. So someone told me like once, like to beat your enemy, you need to know it. So I'm trying to learn it, I'm trying to use it. I'm trying to kind of like, understand it. And I said, I'm not saying, don't take me like wrong, I mean, technology is part of our future. Artificial intelligence will be something we live with. It creates great, I think, things in general. But when it comes to the creativity, I mean, what is missing is the original thinking. It's not someone or something you can share idea with. You can come up with something. So for me, like, inspiration usually comes from, and that's what I'm trying to also inspire, like, the designer we have at the office, especially the new generation, is like going back to, it depends on the project we do, but all the time for us it's very important to be very size specific to, I mean, not just the city, but the brand, the customer. So there is like always a research that we try to get as deep as we can in the root of something that can create a meaningful narrative. We start with a narrative. Any project we do, we tell a story. And, you know, by the time we finish with like our narrative, before we show what we will do in the design, you have a vision basically. And we hope that, you know, our design vision, it meet your expectation at this point, but it's really like, you know, creating a story. And when you see like, you know, a final product, it resonate with what you're doing. It resonate with the brand, it resonate with the site. So where do we take inspiration? It can go from anywhere. I always encourage to try to find inspiration from something that is not obvious. It's not just images. It's not just like, you know, a collage of pretty images at all. I mean, sometimes we just did a project, or, you know, like and we went into more like something was more the music, because music was like, so like, you know, going like in even the song or the covers of CD. I mean, it gets like into detail that is always cultural in a way, like, you know, it is rooted in the history, on the culture, on the artifact. I mean, there is sometimes I have the opportunity to sit down with, you know, Adam Tihany, my partner's son, who is an artist. And that is honestly is where like the nice idea comes, because there is a bit of like, it's truly like a creative person with a bit of, you know, it's a different perspective. So I think for me it's important to, once I have an idea, talk with someone that can see in a way that I would not think of it, but is a creative mind, you know what I mean? So it comes from a lot of things. I think travel is very important. I think, like, you know, this is the curiosity that you have that can generate inspiration at any corner, honestly. Like,
thank you, Alessia. Very inspiring. I think it's very inspiring word for everyone. So thanks again. It was a pleasure to have you with us here. And Alessia is a partner of Medelhan, the studio, so it's very important. And also, congratulations for your future as a CEO. And Tihany, we all know it. So we make you also these congratulations, because we had a chance to talk about this, and definitely a good chance. And so thanks for everything. And you can stay with us, obviously. We follow the last part of our evening. Thank you again, Alessia.
Thank you.